Welcome to Week 4 Sleepers on the Triple Play Fantasy Channel. This is Govier's Fantasyland, my playlist. If you like my analysis and you'd like to get more information from me, follow me on Twitter at MJGovier, G-O-V as in Victor, I-E-R. You can ask me fantasy questions, you can DM me about anything, you can tweet at me, however you want to do it. I don't care, I'm here to help. And of course, please sub this channel. Triple Play Fantasy has a lot of great people doing a lot of amazing work. They're going to help you win championships for season-long, DFS, whatever your pleasure. They got it covered here at the Triple Play Fantasy Channel. Let's get to Week 4 Sleepers. Last week, I had Ty Conklin of Minnesota. That worked out well. And even on Thursday night, I did a video where I talked about CJ Uzomah scoring a touchdown. I didn't know he scored 2, but he scored 1. So I feel like I'm really in touch with the sleeper thing. I'm doing the homework, the research, looking at the data, and I want to give you guys the less heralded players in these matchups every week that can make a difference. Well, I want to make it much quicker than last week's video, so let's get to it. We have no time to lose. All right, first matchup of the day. We've got our old pals, the New York Jets, taking on the Tennessee Titans. This is real simple. Tennessee stinks on defense. Now, they could pull this game out, but, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, he looks promising. I like him a lot, even though Chester Rogers vultured a touchdown last week. Marcus Johnson, though, is the guy who could be a difference maker. He returns from IR, and they really liked him in training camp. Josh Reynolds, who the hell knows? Anthony Ferkser's back. He's the guy, too. But for the Jets, it's Michael Carter, the running back, the rookie out of North Carolina. I love Michael Carter. He's one of my best plays of the week. I think he's going to catch balls out of the backfield. Zach Wilson's going to have a much better game this week. That's right. Zach Wilson will actually play pretty well against a horrid Tennessee secondary. I think the Jets can actually win this game outright. I really do. Jamison Crowder is back. How much will he contribute? I don't know. Are we calling him a sleeper? I don't think so. But I think it's Carter and Wilson are deep sleepers in this game. I really do. So take it and run with it. Why not? Next up, Indianapolis at Miami. Will Fuller of the Dolphins. That's my sleeper here. Now, he is a known player, but he just kind of got back in the groove. And he has a great career stat line against the Colts. He's already caught 18 catches for 266 yards and a tutty against the Colts because he used to play for the Texans in division. So I think he's going to feel really comfy against that Colts defense, which I think is a mess. They have secondary issues as well. There's 2 guys in the secondary that are going to be out. Kerry Willis looks to be out, and Rock Ya-Sin from Temple. Rock Ya-Sin, I love that name. So that's going to be problematic for Indianapolis. I like Jacoby Brissett as a sleeper. I think he's quite viable this week. He can be not only serviceable, but help win games and score fantasy points. He's got a rushing floor, and he can throw the ball. He can do it all. So I think you start Jacoby Brissett in 14 team leagues and deeper, and definitely in Superflex and 2 quarterback leagues. Oh, and lastly, Malcolm Brown. I think he might usurp some more time from Myles Gaskin. He scored a touchdown last week, got some more snaps, and there's a real concern here for Myles Gaskin rosterers. I don't like it. I like Malcolm Brown to kind of take control of this role in the Dolphins' backfield. Game number 3, the Washington football team at the Atlanta Falcons. Will Antonio Gibson play or not play? I don't know as of this recording. I do know that Jarrett Patterson is a rookie out of Buffalo, and if Gibson doesn't go, maybe Patterson actually steals a bit of the spotlight, even from J.D. McKissick, who certainly catches balls out of the backfield, but he's not the best runner, at least not in my opinion. Atlanta has no 100-yard rushers against them since 2019, guys. 0. Nobody has run for 100 yards against them in a while. So their run defense is a little more stout than you might think. They do give up yards in the air and touchdowns in the air. They've given up 5 passing touchdowns already on defense. So I expect Terry McLaurin to go off. But if you're looking for the sleeper here, Curtis Samuel returns. But maybe Adam Humphries is a guy who sneaks in. It's going to be Humphries or De'Ami Brown. I'm not sure which one. I'll be honest there. But one of those guys will factor into this passing game. Because Heineke's going to throw to McLaurin a ton, and how much Curtis Samuel plays will dictate a lot of this reception spread. So I just don't have a clear-cut view of it at this time. Last one, Hayden Hurst. I bet he steals a touchdown from Mr. Pitts. And Olamide Zaccheaus scored a touchdown last week. He worked as a sleeper last week. Why not roll with Mr. Zaccheaus again? I love me, Mr. Zaccheaus. Keep it rolling. There's no Russell Gage this week. That's good news for Zaccheaus people. Cleveland heads to Minnesota, the Vikings. Kevin Stefanski, former offensive coordinator for the Vikings, going against his old head coach, Mike Zimmer. This, as far as sleepers, is a tough one. The tight end position for Cleveland is filled with sleepers, but you never know who's going to get the ball. Harrison Bryant, Austin Hooper, David Njoku. I don't know. It's tough, but Njoku's the most talented and athletic. Hooper's the red zone target, and every once in a while, every few weeks, Harrison Bryant shows up as the red zone target. I think Baker Mayfield gets more in touch with the receivers this week. So give me Rashard Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones to actually contribute and possibly be usable sleepers in this game this week. I really think that's the case. As far as Ty Conklin repeating last week's performance, I'm dubious of that. Cleveland's really good against tight ends, and they're really good as a defense overall. Cleveland's defense giving up 9 catches, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns to tight ends so far, but that was against Travis Kelce, Houston, who stinks, and then Chicago and Cole Kmet, who they totally shut down. So really, that was all Travis Kelce against them. I wouldn't be so confident against the Browns defense this week on the tight end front. KJ Osborne, I think he bounces back. Suddenly he's a sleeper. And if Dalvin Cook doesn't play, Amir Abdullah, I like him. He had 1 career effort all time against the Browns, and he had 11 carries for 52 yards. So maybe he taps back into that. But he's definitely someone as a secondary deep flex play if you're desperate for a running back, if Dalvin Cook doesn't play only. If, that's the only if, okay? Next up, Houston heads to Buffalo. This is a joke. Buffalo's going to dominate. I know Houston has some veterans, but they got no quarterback now. It's a total mess for them. So Buffalo at a free-for-all. Dawson Knox, I don't think he's a sleeper anymore, so I can't really talk about him, can I? He's must start every week. He's red zone and touchdown dependent, but that's what you love about tight ends like that. Josh Allen's looking him in the red zone all the time now. It's a lot of fun. Houston's defense is actually top 8 against wide receivers for fantasy points. 34 catches, 476 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But that's going to change after this week because they have too many weapons. The Bills are too talented with their wide receivers, so don't worry about that. I love me some Gabriel Davis as a deep sleeper in this game. I don't know if it's going to fly. He's still the 4th receiver, but I think he's going to get more opportunities, and they want to get him more involved. He had 7 touchdowns last year as a rookie, so he's behind that already. He needs to catch up. I like him to get right in this week, especially if the game gets out of hand. New York Giants against the New Orleans Saints. Now, this is New Orleans' first home game of the year, which is exciting for them. And the Giants are not very good right now. They're a real mess. But without 2 top starting wide receivers, Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard both out, Colin Johnson's the guy to look to in this game. No one knows who he is. I didn't know who he was till last week. 7 targets last week in the loss to the Falcons. And New Orleans defense, yeah, it's not great against wide receivers. They've already given up 48 catches for 539 and 3 touchdowns to wide receivers in fantasy. If you're looking for the deep John Ross play, John Ross could be on the starting active roster for this game, the former bust from Cincinnati. I actually think it'll be CJ Bourne. He had a nice catch in last week's loss, and he's more involved in the offense than Ross has been. I don't think Ross is ready. I don't. Look for CJ Bourne in a deep play. New Orleans defense is 7th against tight ends, but I don't care about that. Evan Ingram is the guy they want to get the ball to. With so many wide receivers being down here, Evan Ingram is going to be the sleeper play of the week for me here on this Giants team. No doubt about it. The Giants defense is not something I'm afraid of. In fact, against tight ends, the Giants defense is bottom 4. 21 catches, 191 yards, and 3 touchdowns already. I expect Adam Troutman, not Juwan Johnson, who has lost snaps since his week 1 breakout. Adam Troutman's the guy. He's going to score a touchdown in this game. He's the sleeper at tight end. Start that man if you have him or you can get him. And then I'll throw a play on Ty Montgomery. He's a sneaky play here, okay? I like him to sneak in a touchdown, pull off a miracle. Ty Montgomery's always around, the running back / wide receiver that we've known for several years from Green Bay and now with the Saints. I think he gets a chance to show off at home. Kansas City and Philadelphia, the city where the Eagles play football, right? That's true. Sleeper-wise here, Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins, wide receiver for the Eagles. I love him. He's got a lot to offer. He keeps getting more snaps. He's making big plays when he gets a chance, too. So I really like him as a startable flex play, depending on the type of league format. You know, deeper leagues, 14-team plus. But I think Jalen Hurts is going to look to try to find him, and I think Nick Sirianni is appreciative of what he's been offering. And, you know, Kansas City's defense is third worst for fantasy points against running backs. So Miles Sanders will have a day, but that's not a sleeper. But Kenneth Gainwell would be a sleeper. So if you want to start Kenneth Gainwell, steals a touchdown, maybe vultures another TD like he did in week 1, I love it. Start Kenneth Gainwell. This Kansas City defense is not good. We know that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Is Zach Ertz not a sleeper probably? I mean, he's a veteran, but he's not starting, and he's getting less snaps than Dallas Goedert is. So Zach Ertz is worth giving a shot at here as well. On the Kansas City front, I want to mention Demarcus Robinson. He outsnapped McCole Hardman last week, even though Hardman had a touchdown in the loss to the Chargers. But Robinson outsnapped him, and he's playing a lot. So I like Demarcus Robinson as a flex start here on a super high-flying offense. Touchdowns are always in play, and yards and receptions are something that can be racked up. And Blake Bell, the backup tight end to Travis Kelce, he plays a lot, and I see him stealing a touchdown from Kelce this week. I know Kelce's going to play against his brother in this game, but Blake Bell's very talented, and he still is involved in this offense fairly regularly. Carolina at Dallas here as we carry on with the Week 4 sleepers. Don't forget, I'm Michael Govier. I'm hosting this thing. That's me. Hey, hi. Carolina is 3-0. Dallas is 2-1. This will be a fun game. But as far as sleepers go, Terrace Marshall, he's getting more snaps. He's only 2 snaps behind what Robbie Anderson did in Week 3 in the game against Houston. So I think Marshall's the sleeper play here, and this might be one of the last times we could call him a sleeper. I know a lot of people love him, so maybe he's not even a sleeper anymore because the definition of sleeper constantly gets argued and debated about. I don't care about that. All I know is that Terrace Marshall has potential, and Dallas's defense, while turnover viable, they get a lot of opportunistic plays on defense. They're giving up a fair amount of plays. They're 9th worst against fantasy wide receivers in points, so that's not great at all. And Dallas's defense is 6th best against running backs. So Carolina's going to want to exploit the wide receivers and not the running backs here, and I expect that to benefit Terrace Marshall. I also expect it to benefit a guy who had 1 catch for 30 yards last week in the game against Houston. Tommy Tremble, he's the rookie out of Notre Dame. He's a 3rd-round pick. Dan Arnold is no longer on this roster, and Sam Darnold might be looking for this rookie who's a 3rd-rounder. That's not a crappy draft pick. That's a legit 3rd-rounders are expected to contribute. So I think Tommy Tremble is going to be someone to keep an eye on going forward. Deep sleeper play there, but who knows? As far as the Cowboys, Cedric Wilson, is he a sleeper anymore? Maybe. You could start him. I definitely would. Blake Jarwin is lost out to Dalton Schultz recently, but I like Jarwin still be involved in this offense. He still gets snaps. Carolina's defense is pretty good, but they're not like unbeatable. And I expect this to be a reality check too, because they played some less than competition like the Jets and the Texans with Davis Mills. So Blake Jarwin, Cedric Wilson, and that's pretty much it for Dallas because nobody else is a sleeper. The offense is just too damn good, too damn good. Detroit and Chicago, my Lions, the trash Lions, the bozo Lions. That's right. They play hard. Give them credit for that. But Chicago, even with Matt Nagy being a mess, Matt Nagy's 5-1 against Detroit in his tenure. I expect that to continue. Whoever starts at quarterback, as of this recording, I have no idea who that is. I really don't. Detroit-wise, the receivers are filled with sleeper potential here. So if you want to start a Trinity Benson, a guy like Mr. Raymond himself has started to get more playing time. So he took it away from Quintez Cephas last week. But I expect Cephas to get back in the groove and get more opportunities. But I wouldn't mind if you took any of these Lion receivers and just threw a dart at them as a deep sleeper play against the Chicago defense, which is not that great. It really isn't. Chicago defense is 10th best against tight ends. So if you're looking at Hawkinson, it's not a sleeper, but maybe that means they're actually going to focus on Hawkinson and open up opportunities for these Detroit Lion wide receivers. I do find that to be intriguing. As far as Chicago's side of things, it's just going to be I don't know what happens with them, but I know Cole Kmet's going to get a ton of targets. So Cole Kmet, if he's not a sleeper, this is a sleeper to me because people have written him off after not doing anything against Cleveland. Although nobody for Chicago did anything. Cole Kmet all day long. And Damiere Byrd. He's getting more and more snaps each week. He had 76 snaps in the Week 3 loss to the Browns. This is a guy he's showing the coaches something. I think that he's impressing. And he's moving up past guys like Marquise Goodwin. Let's go out west to Arizona at the Rams. When you look for sleepers, the Rams are just filled with guys that produce. So Van Jefferson's like the only sleeper guy. I love Van Jefferson. I think every week he's going to go off because the offense is so high flying. And Arizona's defense, they're really good against tight ends. So if you're looking for Tyler Higbee to be a stud, I'd be careful of that. And I wouldn't expect Johnny Munt, who got 46% of the snaps last week, the backup tight end, to do much more. I really would not either. But Arizona does give up bottom 10 wide receivers, so that's where Van Jefferson is a play here. Desean Jackson, I don't know if he's going to play this week or not. That's up in the air. He's a sleeper, that's fair to say. Tutu Atwell, I'm not even thinking about him. It's Van Jefferson. Johnny Munt is a deep play, a super deep play. His name's Johnny Munt. It's funny. But otherwise, you know all the Rams players. There's really no secrets. If for some reason Henderson re-injures that rib situation, maybe Jake Funk sneaks in, but that's way too risky. Can't do that. Arizona, though, Rondale Moore's back to sleeper territory. He got his snaps reduced, and he gets chances in the run game with the jet sweeps and the handoffs, but I think he's a sleeper again, and I think he could break through for a touchdown in this game. Kyler Murray's 0-4 against the Rams, so they've got their work cut out for them. I don't know if the Cardinals will pull it off. But otherwise, there's just not a lot of sleepers here on the Cardinals offense. We got all these guys in play. A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, heck, even James Conner vultured 2 touchdowns from Edmonds last week, so it's a mess. It's a total mess, but it's not going to be a mess when San Francisco hosts the Seattle Seahawks. Another Western NFL West showdown. Man, that division is so fun, so good, so intense. Freddy Swain is playing a ton, and Tyler Lockett's uncertain for this game. If Lockett doesn't go, Freddy Swain is a sleeper start for sure. He had a huge, long touchdown reception against Tennessee in the loss a couple weeks ago. And the Minnesota game, he played a lot of the snaps, but the offense disappeared. Russell Wilson disappeared too, so can't blame him. Running back-wise for Seattle, Travis Homer and Alex Collins. I think one of these guys could make a play. I don't know which one it's going to be, though. So I'd flip a coin and roll the dice on one of these two. The Niners defense is not that great. Niners defense against running backs and fantasy points is middle of the road. They've given up 262 rushing yards and a couple touchdowns on the ground, and then one more on the receiving end. So maybe Travis Homer sneaks in a receiving touchdown in this game. Otherwise, on the defensive side for the Seahawks, it's been a real mess. And if you're looking for sleepers in the San Francisco situation, Deebo Samuel, not a sleeper. Brandon Ayuk, not a sleeper. Mohamed Sanu, very much a sleeper. I love Sanu, and Garoppolo's been looking for Sanu. He's been getting targets. Kyle Juszczyk is the guy. He is out-snapping Troy Sermon last week, and he scored the go-ahead touchdown, which ended up being not the go-ahead winning touchdown, but it was the go-ahead touchdown last week on the receiving end. They trust him because they know him in the offense. And the Seattle defense against the run, nothing to really worry about. Against wide receivers, they're not good either, so I am not really fearing the Seattle defense. Start Kyle Juszczyk with pride. I say go for it. Pittsburgh at Green Bay. Guess who's back? Deontay Johnson's back. He's not a sleeper. Everyone knows him. James Washington would be the sleeper play. If you're looking for a super sleeper play, it's Ray McLeod. But the number one sleeper guaranteed play is Pat Freiermuth. And he's not going to be a sleeper much longer. The rookie out of Penn State is awesome. Big Ben likes him. I know Big Ben is a mess. He's dead inside. He's barely there. But Mike Tomlin has a lot of pride too. And he's not just going to let this team falter going into Green Bay. And the one thing Big Ben can do is throw the ball 4 yards to Pat Freiermuth. And I expect that to happen many times. I know that Ebron outsnapped him in the loss to the Bengals last week, but Freiermuth had been gaining the snaps and playing more. And he's going to continue because he's impressing the coaches. Green Bay defense, the third most points to tight ends too, by the way. Third most. That excites me for the Freiermuth play. For the Green Bay side, no Marquez Valdes-Scantling this week, so that's always my sleeper play for the Packers. So he's out. But that means Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, or Amari Rodgers, who some people were interested in draft season, could be the sleeper here. The Pittsburgh defense, third best against running backs. Third best against fantasy running backs. That's really good. That means Aaron Jones is going to have his hands full. TJ Watt is back for this game too on the defensive side for Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh defense is bottom 7 in wide receiver points. Bottom 7. Giving up 47 catches, 579 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So I like Amari Rodgers, Randall Cobb, or Allen Lazard. Probably Lazard being the lead dog of those three. And Mercedes Lewis. He's playing 40, almost 50% of the snaps every game. I bet he steals a tutty in this game as well. Baltimore, Denver, the Ravens are in trouble. They got a lot of injuries in the secondary. This is great news for Denver. But on the offensive side for Baltimore, Devin Duvernay caught a touchdown last week against the Lions. I like him as the sleeper play here. He's the guy. Latavius Murray could be the sleeper play at the running back position, but even Tyson Williams has struggled, so it's kind of a mess, and there's a lot of uncertainty there. But Denver's defense is good against the run, so if Baltimore's going to win this game, guys like Duvernay are going to have to come through and make things happen. And a guy like James Proche, that's right, Proche. he's a guy who could be a huge sleeper. He caught one catch for 29 yards last week against Detroit. And if they're able to win this game, the Ravens pull it off, they're going to need more from the passing game than the running game. They just are. So give me those guys, and let's see what they can do with it in Mile High. For Denver, though, Baltimore's defense, usually historically good, but they're not that great right now. They're a mess, too. They got several injuries in the secondary with Chuck Clark, Marlon Humphrey, uncertainties there. It's not good. Not good at all. But it's great news for the Denver offense. Baltimore's defense is bottom 7 against running backs in fantasy. Javonte Williams is going to be a stud. He's not a sleeper. He's too well known, but that's going to be fun. Baltimore's defense is against the wide receivers. Not very good either. They're decent, but they're not great. They're not good. I would love me some Tim Patrick and maybe even Deontay Spencer, but more likely if Tim Patrick is a sleeper, which is barely qualifying as a sleeper, give me Tim Patrick in this game all day long. And then finally, Albert Ogunwanbunam is the man. Baltimore's defense against tight ends, second to last against tight ends in fantasy points, folks. So Noah Fant's going to have a day. He's not a sleeper, but his backup, Albert Okwuegbunam, is the man from Missouri. This guy's really talented, and I keep pushing for him, and I'm going to keep pushing for this guy. I bet he has a great game against Baltimore. And then finally, Tampa Bay at New England, the game of the century, the game of a lifetime. Oh, a lot of talk about this game, but let's give you guys the underneath. Who cares about Belichick? Who cares about Brady? Let's get to the guys who aren't being discussed at all. O.J. Howard. There's no Gronk in this game. O.J. Howard will seize the day. He's very talented. He's from Alabama. He was a draft pick by the Bucs. He tore up his leg last year, so he didn't get a chance to really do anything. But when he's healthy, he's played pretty well. He's just not getting the opportunities because Gronk came back from the dead. But with no Gronk this week, I love O.J. Howard. You may say Cameron Brate's the guy, and you could make a case for that. But the one thing you can't make a case for is that New England's defense has been smoked by tight ends, because that is not a case that exists. New England's defense against tight ends in 3 games, 4 catches, 27 yards, 0 touchdowns. Let that soak in for a minute. That's ridiculous. But they've never played Tom Brady in the Bucs, so things are going to change this week from the tight end perspective. Give me O.J. Howard. Otherwise, to me, Tyler Johnson is a guy that Brady really trusts. He brought his snaps up, and with Scotty Miller on the IR, Tyler Johnson is a sleeper play at wide receiver for the Bucs. Give me some of that all night long. On the other side, for the New England Patriots, it's a mess. The tight ends now are sleepers, because Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith have so underperformed that if they actually do something in this game, I think it would be impressive. It would be a surprise. So that's kind of a stretch. I get it. That's cool. If you want a legit sleeper on the New England offense, it's J.J. Taylor. I like him to go against this Tampa Bay defense, not from the running side, because Tampa Bay's defense is 9th best against fantasy running backs. But J.J. Taylor is a receiver out of the backfield. Mac Jones checking down, moving the chains with J.J. Taylor. Now that James White is on the IR, give Taylor a shot and run with it. And if you're looking for a wide receiver sleeper, how about Kendrick Bourne? He played real well, had a touchdown last week and a loss for the Pats, but that's okay, because his move was amazing that he made. It was a bad throw, but he made a sweet move to score the touchdown. I like his athleticism. And Tampa Bay is dead last in fantasy points given up to wide receivers, folks. They've already given up 7 passing touchdowns, over 700 yards receiving. So Kendrick Bourne is my guy. I love it. Give it to me. There you go. Sleepers for week 4. I tried to go quicker than I did last week. Hope I cut off some of the time. Thank you so much. Please follow me on Twitter, MJ Govier. G-O-V is a Victor, I-E-R. Connect, sub, like this video, share it with your loved ones, share it with your friends, share it with your frenemies. Give it a shot. You might bond over something new for the first time. It could be a big breakthrough. Give this channel all support. The Triple Play Fantasy channel does a lot of great work because they're helping you guys. They want you guys to win money. It's great. All right, I'm out of here. Enjoy week 4, and I hope at least half of these sleepers hit.